A master of turning lemons into lemonade. Welcome, Felipe Bargonier. No matter what, got money on my mind, I can never get it up. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up, and they stay there, and they stay there, and they stay there.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Felipe Bargonier. I own a company called Gabbard National LLC. This year, I was ranked in the top 5 benefit advisors in the country. First minority ever. I also just wrote a book that I co-authored that is now an Amazon bestseller. I'm mentioning all of this because there's one thing that I feel like a lot of times when you see people, you have no idea how they got there. I'm what you call, this is my own phrase, a master revamper. Not a vampire, but a master revamper. And what I mean by that is, the word revamp means to recreate, redo, restart. Think about the first thing, or the first instance in your life where you had to revamp something. Maybe somebody passed away. Maybe you went through a divorce. Somebody mentioned that earlier. And while you think about that, I want to tell you about my first instance that I remember. I was 5 years old, came home, my dad wasn't there. Didn't know why, so I asked my mom, Mom, where's Dad? Dad passed away, now I'm 5. So I ain't thinking about funerals, I ain't thinking about any of that. She told me my dad had passed away, you're the man of the house now. So I'm 5 years old, like, okay, I'm the man of the house. What does this mean? I'm 5. So I've been an entrepreneur since I was 5 years old. I was in kindergarten, first grade, selling bags of Kool-Aid, selling candy to kids. And that was my first instance of me having to revamp or to rechange my reality. A lot of people don't understand that whenever you go through something, whether it's intentional or something that just changes your life like that, if you're here right now, you survived it. But a lot of times when people think about starting a business or even when they're working for companies, they're afraid of going to the next level, so they don't want to change. Very often, they'll stop themselves, but not realizing that if something happened to you that you had no control over, you would be forced to make a decision. I got another story. At the age of 13, after never missing a day from school, having good grades, all of a sudden started making D's and F's. I've made A's and B's my whole life, and I was on my way to become a doctor. All of a sudden, I would be in the room, it's cold in this room, we can all agree it's cold in here, right? I would be sweating. Did not know why. My father is an attorney. And I realized I said is, so I got something about that. My father is an attorney. My mother was a teacher. She's retired now. And they were both highly educated, made good grades. Imagine this, your own mother telling you that the only thing you will ever be is a garbage man. You can't be my child. Imagine that. Because of that experience, that night I probably cried all night. And at the time, I thought that my father was deceased. So I prayed to my Father up in heaven. Can you please tell me why am I here? At the age of 13, I created my first vision board. Didn't know what a vision board was, of course. I wrote out my whole life's plan to the age of 40. Accomplished everything that was on that. But that was another instance of me having to revamp my life. That's the reason why when Bernice introduced me, I put turn the lemons into lemonade. I feel like God is a practical joker because I love lemonade. And even when I was a kid, we used to go to Piccadilly's or to a restaurant. I'm 6 years old. I'm like, Mom, no, don't buy that lemonade. They got lemons, they got sugar, they got water. It's free. So I'm making my own lemonade. Been doing it my whole life. So the condition I ended up having was a condition called Graves' disease. Graves' disease is a hyperthyroidism. So my thyroid at that time was 25 times that of a normal person. I had lost 30 pounds in 3 months. And because of that, I had to have medications that I had to take for the rest of my life. Now, remember I said that I was an A and B student, started making D's and F's. So once I got diagnosed and got prescribed the medications, then I had to double down on, look, God, I know you got me. So I had to work twice as hard to get my grades back up, to work. I could go to a school that would allow me, with the grades that I had, and by the grace of God, I graduated with a 3.2 GPA, scored a 1,200 on the SAT, so I was able to go pretty much everywhere. But because of that situation, again, I had to revamp my life. And I say all this to say that regardless of what you go through, it ain't about what you went through, it's how you get through it. And as long as you don't ever allow that to be your excuse, in any company I've ever been involved in, I've always been, I guess I had a fear of being replaced. So I always made sure that I maximized the opportunity with any opportunity I was ever getting. With every company that I've ever worked for, I worked in corporate America up until 2001, which is when I ventured off and started my own business. With every company that I've ever worked for, I've never wanted to do the minimum. I've always exceeded the expectations because the one thing I wanted to make sure, whenever I was involved in a relationship or a company, I wanted to make sure that your Felipe Bargunier experience was one that could not be replaced. And I feel like too many of us don't do that. When it comes to you overcoming obstacles, the one thing that you don't want to do is to let yourself be the reason why you did not succeed in that job, in your business, or anything else. Because you heard my story, and that was just the beginning. And once I'm able to say